The media is under fire right now. Media is under fire amid a new report from our friends over at Media Research Center, aka Newsbusters. They're really good at getting all those clips of Whoopi Goldberg, so I appreciate them doing that. Anyway, they have a serious operation there where they look at every minute in these evening news broadcasts and in these morning shows on broadcast TV. I'm talking about ABC, which is in a lot of trouble right now. I mean, so much trouble that they're like cracking down on Whoopi live on set. Jimmy Kimmel, he doesn't have a show tonight. We don't know exactly what that one's about. Anyway, FCC investigation into big media companies is getting wider and wider and wider, and it's in part because of this report. They found that 87% of network media TV is favoring Democrats in this shutdown. Even though, don't forget, all they had to do was say, we're going to give you a clean CR, and we can, work through all this stuff later. And instead, they insisted that they had to get that $1.5 trillion that would be for health care that goes out to the states. The Democrats say is necessary, and the president is saying, no way, because it's going to go to illegals. And I'm sorry, you guys brought everybody here illegally, and it's not acceptable. This is the new study. Check this out from Newsbusters. 87% of government shutdown coverage on ABC, CBS, and NBC favored Democrats. This isn't journalism. They write it's propaganda. And they're right. This is propaganda. I mean, you can't have this kind of bias. I mean, I guess we're ahead of the game because it's not 99%, 87%. Consider that a win, guys, because most of the time it was 99% in favor of Biden, 99% in opposition of Donald Trump. And then when Kamala came along, same old story. Here, at least it's only, 87% of the time you could consider that a win. But I'm telling you, they're getting nervous because the FCC is in there. Brandon Carr's made it very clear. You know what? These broadcast operations have a responsibility. They're different than cable. And I've talked to you about that, right? And just to reiterate, the reason they're different is because they were set up in the 1930s with a specific Communications Act charter. And because of that, they have a responsibility to the community for community service and good. And they're governed by the FCC. But in the case of cable, or hey, over here on YouTube or Spotify, make sure you go and sign up for the Spotify if you would too. It helps. I mean, we're up to we might be at 15,000 right now, but it doesn't quite compare to what we're doing here on YouTube. Up over 1 million. Thank you so much, guys. I mean, this is incredible, just incredible. But you have more flexibility over here. You don't have that in network television because of the charter that they originally had and the FCC's oversight. Now, the FCC hasn't enforced it much, or, just look at what's been happening over the last 20 years, or shall I say, over the last however many years, maybe the last 10 years, right, ever since Donald Trump came on the scene. So now all of a sudden they're starting to get worried. I mean, look at this one. Whoopi Goldberg scolded live on set this week because she decided to say something that was not true. She said it was a joke, but she's been saying a lot of things that aren't true, a ton of things that aren't true. And at some point, it's coming back to haunt her. So the producers are freaking out. Watch.
And the other insane thing is that when people are going to go to their meetings with the judge, the meetings that they're supposed to go to, when they're listening to, what the hell, what?
I love when Sonny passes notes.
We don't know if Trump used an auto pen to part. It was a joke.
Yeah. We don't know if Trump used an auto pen to part.
Oh, come on.
But we do know that he didn't know who that crypto guy was.
Well, I'm sorry. The hardest thing about this job now is no one understands nuance. When you hear a joke, when somebody's fooling around, when they're not saying something specific, especially on this show. I'm very specific when I'm pointing stuff out. When I'm making jokes, when I'm making jokes. This is ridiculous.
So, and that's MRC, by the way, that compiled that. I feel for her in the sense that you got to be able to make a joke. The problem for her is that she has said so many things over and over and over again that are just blatantly untrue. I mean, I think about the ballroom, for example, just a recent example of this week where she's saying, it's you, the taxpayer, that's going to wind up paying for that, instead of acknowledging the reality that the $30 million that's being spent was actually donated by a whole slew of companies that the president brought in, right? Including, by the way, Comcast, which owns NBC. So a lot of companies came forward and they put the money there and that's not what they're telling you on The View. They're always giving you some warped version of reality that's, coated in TDS on steroids, and that's coming back to haunt them. So this is why you have Time Magazine putting out a story saying, this View is in a lot of trouble. And by the way, you don't have to just take Time Magazine's word for it. Look at what Brendan Carr said on Fox about a month ago. He called them out. He said, look, The View cannot do this. And by the way, Jimmy Kimmel is in a whole lot of trouble as well because of what went down there with Charlie Kirk. And so now you got to wonder, as they increase their investigation into the likes of ABC, into NBC, into CBS, and the FCC's getting its tentacles in there, probably people are a little bit worried over at ABC, hence what we saw with Whoopi Goldberg and the producers saying, oh, you got to read the legal note. And she's like, are you kidding me? It was a joke. But now they're going to be like overly cautious. And the other person they may be overly cautious with is Jimmy Kimmel. News today that Jimmy Kimmel's show is somehow mysteriously canceled tonight at the 11th hour over what's said to be a personal matter. So we wish him well if he's struggling in his personal life, of course, but it's not really clear because the Daily Mail actually was one of the first to report this, and they're saying that the episode was going to have David Duchovny. Oh, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. All right, David Duchovny. Some other people, musical guests, etc. And all of a sudden, these guys got a note saying, hey, sorry, we don't need you. This show has been canceled. It stemmed from what we're told is a, quote, personal matter. And it instead is going to have some old episode airing in its place. The Daily Mail contacted ABC requesting comment. They did not get a comment. So what could have happened here? I mean, don't forget, this guy is suffering from the remnants of what has been going on. I mean, he's got bad ratings, so he's suffering from that. We know that. And he also is under fire because of what happened when he made that stupid joke. I mean, like beyond stupid joke. I mean, even the Harvard, law professor, constitutional law professor guy gotten in all kinds of trouble. That super lib that put something stupid like on Saturday about saying, oh, well, it's like MAGA going after their own there because apparently this kid, this Tyler Robinson, not a kid, 20-some odd years old, grew up around firearms. And like, that's just ridiculous. Like the statement was so like insensitive, so ridiculous. I don't want to rehash the whole thing, but you know the drill, right? And then Jimmy gets on there and makes a joke out of it. That didn't go over well. So then he got canceled. You had 20% of ABC's local affiliates, whether it be Sinclair or Nexstar, saying, hey, we don't want this guy on the air. We're not going to run him. And so then he had to get back on and apologize. I mean, we thought he was actually going to be canceled for good at one time, and the apology was kind of a non-apology. He said, quote, it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. Went on to say, nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. To some, my remarks felt either ill-timed or unclear. I get why you're upset. And then he says, it was never, well, we said that, never my intention to do that. Well, I'm sorry, like that wasn't much of an apology, right? So when you hear today that his show is mysteriously canceled for a personal matter, like what is this, a contract dispute? I hope his health is okay, right? We don't wish anybody, I hope everybody in his family is okay. We'll see. But let's go back to that apology that wasn't an apology. I mean, he didn't retract anything. He didn't say anything about his original remarks about MAGA. He didn't say, I'm sorry, I want to apologize to Charlie Kirk's family, his widow, Erica Kirk. I mean, I didn't hear any of that, right? Nor did Erica. By the way, Jesse Waters asked her about this in an interview he did with her. Let's go to her reaction to what Jimmy had to say about her husband.
Jimmy Kimmel lied about your husband's murder and didn't really apologize. What would you say to Jimmy Kimmel?
Same thing I told Sinclair. They asked. I haven't really told anybody this, so. They asked, do you want Jimmy to give you an apology? Do you want to be on his show? How can we make it right? through our team, I responded. I said, told them thank you, we received their note. This is not our issue, not our mess. If you want to say I'm sorry to someone who's grieving, go right ahead. But if that's not in your heart, don't do it. I don't want it. I don't need it.
Well, it's not clear at this point why his show was canceled. Just that there was some kind of email, alleged email from the show's audience team saying tonight's episode has been postponed. Apologies for any inconvenience. We'll contact you to reschedule for a future taping. We don't know. Personal reasons, allegedly. Personal reasons, yeah. I'll tell you, his ratings are awful. They need to get rid of him. They need to get rid of the show. He should do the show on the new MSNBC, the Ms. Now network, right? It's going to have its red, white, and blue branding. Hey, Versant is going to be the spinoff from Comcast. I'm thinking that makes sense, Jimmy. You know, you can be as liberal as you want over there. Stephen Colbert, they may have a home for you too. What do you know? The comedians are going to take over the news business. That would make sense, right?